Where's your wife?
She's right there. Everybody's here. We all stick together. Except for Benny. Benny lives in the world now.
Hey, yo, how's it going, friends? This is In Madness Pod, episode 5. We have reached our first handful of episodes. I'm proud of us. It's Shawn the Butcher here with Vertebrae33. What's up, buddy?
I'm good. How you doing? How's everybody doing out there today?
I would like to thank everybody who's been participating, listening, whether you're going to work, coming back from work, hanging out at the gym, wherever you're listening. Make sure you tell your friends. Follow at In Madness Pod on all the socials. inmadnesspod@gmail.com. I'm getting better at checking the email. I'm getting better at checking everything. It's just
right. We got some reviews, Shawn. There's some reviews that came in, and I think if you leave a review, it helps move us up the kind of mystical pod catcher logistics. So I would say leave reviews, and maybe we can kind of, when we get a few, we'll read them on the show.
Yeah, we'll give you a shout out. But this has been so much fun. I'm glad we're on episode 5. This is a pitch from you to me.
Yes,
most of the time.
First one you have not seen.
So I didn't want to tell you anything before we started. So now that we've started officially, I definitely have seen this. It came out during the pandemic.
Yes.
So I was watching everything during the pandemic. So while I was watching this, I was like, oh, I've seen this movie before. So I had definitely seen it, and I was watching it for the second time, but again, for the first time, taking it in a different way for this.
And what is the movie that we're alluding to?
So you have all of the information as you do every week. Can you give us the information for what
we're doing 2020's The Color Out of Space. Directed by Richard Stanley, who also directed Hardware and Dust Devil, the ill-fated Island of Dr. Moreau film, which has a phenomenal documentary about how much that film fell apart. And it was 20 years in his return to film. Let's go into the cast. It's a deep one. There's a heavy duty animal cast in this film, and they all got names, Shawn. So it's Nicolas Cage as Nathan Gardner, Joey Richardson as Teresa Gardner, Madeline Arthur as Lavinia Gardner, Brendan Meyer as Benny, Julian Hilliard as Jack Gardner. Elliot Knight plays Ward Phillips. Tommy Chong coming in as a hero as Ezra. The unsung hero of the film, Sam the dog, played by 3 different dogs. I can't pronounce this one. I think it's like Laia, Laia, Mina, and Afro. And there's G-Spot, the cat, played by Lucifer. Comet the horse, played by Ulysses. And then for the final stroke of animals, alpacas, because we got alpacas in this movie. Bruno, Oscar, Rowan, and Tor. So those are our lovely alpacas.
So I got all the main characters' names. I don't have all the animals' names.
Well, but Sam is a star.
So what I did notice with this podcast we're 5 episodes in, and a running theme on this podcast has been dogs. And other animals. It's been a very animal heavy show, even Lighthouse with seagulls. It's great how animals are very into this whole horror movie and sci-fi-esque work.
And I don't know how they do it, but even when Sam looks at things, it's like he's deep in thought about this insanity that's happening. The soundtrack is by Colin Stetson, a fantastic soundtrack. He's like a frequent collaborator with Arcade Fire and Bon Iver and others, and he did the soundtrack for Hereditary as well. So this Color Out of Space soundtrack is very trippy and weird sounds, and it's pretty awesome to listen to. Quick production note: it was filmed in Portugal. It's put out by Spectravision, which is Elijah Wood's company. They also made Mandy and Daniel Isn't Real, which I've never seen, and I think I want to see because the trailer looked pretty amazing. And I'm yapping a lot, but it's based off of drum roll, an H.P. Lovecraft book, right? And it was published in 1927. And its first appearance was in Amazing Stories in September of 27. And this story has influenced a lot of stories. It was his first real sci-fi / horror story. And there were other adaptations of it. A 1965 Die Monster Die with Boris Karloff, which is a very odd film. The Curse, 1987, with Will Wheaton and his sister. I think her name is Amy Wheaton, which has some pretty wild special effects towards the end, makeups, and lots of practical effects. And then 2008, it was a German film called The Color, Die Farbe in German, black and white version. And then in 2018, it's not a direct adaptation, but Annihilation really treads this ground, and that was based off another book. But
that's one you were talking about doing.
Yes,
for a future episode, right?
Yeah, I think it'd be great, and that's based off a series of books, and we could get into that down the line. But it definitely cuts into this premise, and we'll get. It'll make more sense as we go into it.
Quick question: Is this movie is it a Shudder exclusive? Because I've only watched it on Shudder. I've only known it to be on Shudder, or is it just?
I think so. I mean, I have it on Shudder. I bought the 4K for it as well. But
and the vinyl behind
and
you.
I do have the vinyl, of course. Yes, I do have the vinyl soundtrack behind me right now. It's beautiful. But you know, this is a huge book, and it was a huge book. And I say book, it's more like a novella. It's not a very long story when Lovecraft wrote it. And you know, we can get into kind of as we go along some bunch of Lovecraft gnarly bits as we head into the movie.
I'm ready. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
So, like I said, I watched it during the pandemic, but I was blowing through movies. So I kind of just blew through it, and I was like, I didn't get it. I didn't get it too much because I was just half paying attention, you know? So then I watched it again for this. And again, it's going to be a running theme with this thing where I don't see the very clear point that maybe you knew about since the beginning of the movie. Maybe everybody did, but it takes me a while to catch on. So I watched this movie a third time, and I took an edible before I watched it. And let me tell you, did I pay attention to every single frame in this movie from beginning to end? It took me like 3 hours to finish it because I kept rewinding. You need to pay attention. Every shot in this movie is very intricate and important to everything that is going on. And that is one of my favorite things. So you no longer need to worry, because Vertebrae was very worried because I wouldn't give him my review.
Had no idea.
I fucking loved this movie.
I love it. And you know, for just peek behind the curtain, we don't talk about this stuff before we get on here.
We can't kill the vibe.
It's a natural reaction between the two of us. We may hit some films that one of us doesn't like, and we'll get to that. So you text me that you had seen it, and you sent a bunch of texts
because I had just gotten done watching it, and I was still kind of tripping out. And I was like, I'm ready to go. Let's record right now. I wanted to get into it. So this is a long movie. And like I've been saying with our podcast, the longer the movie, usually the longer the podcast. So let's not waste any more time. I want to get right into
Absolutely.
it. This is Color Out of Space, Nick Cage. I mean, you can't really go wrong. It opens up. All right. So, and what I love is my reactions in the comments dictate how I'm flipping out, because I write in my comments, like, what is going on? So we open up, and it's a shot of trees, deep woods, and we hear our narrator. This is where deep woods where no axe has ever cut.
Right. And first, I have to say, is first thing you see out of the gate, and that's where you just said it. You have to pay attention to everything. It opens with these swaying trees. And in the book, in the novella by Lovecraft, they allude to the fact that these trees may be swaying for no reason. Maybe there's no natural wind that's moving them around. He mentions that kind of throughout the story. One of the kids in the book, it's a meteorite crashes, it's three suns, and they kind of go through this process, and we can hit where it changes and jumps around from there. But they allude to this. So the opening shot right away is these trees that are swaying, and you don't think anything of it when you first see it. Oh, it's a dark movie, and they'll just have these trees.
The trees slope fantastically. There are spots where no light has ever touched. So our guy who's narrating is the land surveyor. What is
And
he?
that's right from the book, by the way.
Okay.
So the major difference is in the original book, and I won't bore everyone with that too much, but there's a character who's in there, and he lives nearby, and that's Ami. So there's no Ezra, it's Ami. And there's this surveyor, and he's come to survey for this reservoir that they're going to do just like this. And Ami tells him this story, so he's reflecting back to like, hey, because he arrives and he sees the aftermath, and this whole story is him reflecting back at like, oh man, it was crazy, and like this is what happened.
Which they sort of twist in a way.
So that whole opening passage is right from the book.
Yeah. So we find out our narrator is a land surveyor. He was told that this place was evil, and he was told this in Arkham, which is an old town filled with witch legends.
Right, which is a massive. Arkham is in all throughout Lovecraft stories, and it's a fictional town that he made up in Massachusetts.
I mean, the first thing I think of is Arkham Asylum.
Exactly. But it came from him, and he worked it kind of into his stories, and there's different themes, and Arkham is there.
They say that this place calls to children. So then we get our opening shot, and here we have our daughter, who is down by the river, Lavinia, who is a witch.
Doing some goth stuff.
Doing a seance, calling upon fire, water, earth, ether, what have you.
And she and her name, Lavinia, is there's another Lovecraft story called The Dunwich Horror. And Lavinia Whately is the mother of Wilbur Whately in the story. So they play around with the names. Our surveyor is Ward Phillips, and possible nod to Charles Dexter Ward, which is a previous story that Lovecraft did. And Phillips is an obvious nod to Howard Phillips Lovecraft, H.P. Lovecraft.
And Lavinia is down by the river. She's lighting the mom's hair on fire. She's doing this seance to rid her mom's body of cancer. So then we got our land surveyor, Ward, and he stumbles upon Lavinia doing her seance. And they're flirting, they're doing their thing back and forth right off the bat.
He's like, hey, do you listen to the Sisters of Mercy? No.
Yeah. Guessing if she's Wiccan or whatever kind of witch she is. And she rides away on her horse. He notices she's got this pentagram tat on her foot. And yes, I was going to bring it up. I didn't catch it the first couple of times. The horse's name is Comet.
Yes. And what did you notice Ward Phillips t-shirt?
No, I didn't get that deep.
So his t-shirt is a Miskatonic University t-shirt, and Miskatonic University is all throughout Lovecraft stories. It's in Herbert West, the Reanimator. So it's all there at University in Arkham. They're in the hills west of Arkham here, so they're right there. And he comes from the fancy kind of Harvard equivalent university.
And then we see our other main characters are alpacas in the yard.
I don't know why, but we're never going to get through this movie. By the
no,
way.
I know you couldn't wait to talk about this fucking movie. Go.
Alpacas make me laugh so much. And that was the only thing that took me out of this movie is they have these cute little haircuts. And even when they're trying to look sad, they just have like when I was a kid, they called a permanent, but they're just a perm like in the middle of their head. And they just like these.
But you knew immediately something's happening to these alpacas.
Yes.
And then
in the book, there's 4 horses, but in this, they're alpacas. And I think that adds to the weirdness of this.
It does, because when again, it takes you out of it so much so because it's so bizarre that you're like, what the hell? When has it ever been done? Why not give us our first evil alpaca?
Yeah.
Alpaca. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
How do you alpacas? Is that the plural? That's the and as alpaca, just
or is it
one?
alpaca? Gee, don't even get me started. I'm not even ready for this. We got the alpacas out front. Nicolas Cage, dad, Nathan, right? Nathan,
Yes, Nathan.
sitting on the porch drinking his coffee, and he's bugging his daughter Lavinia. Where's
Yeah,
your
he's got the
beer?
teenage daughter. Did you notice the mug? So at
No,
the on
go ahead. Go ahead.
on the bottom of the mug, and I looked this up, but it says Aurora on the bottom of the mug, which is a clear reference to the natural light display in the sky, like in
Aurora Borealis.
high latitudes. They got these lights in the sky, and that's where we're headed in this movie. So they give it's stamped on the bottom of the mug. I googled like crazy to see if there was a company that made this Aurora mug, or they just stamped on a different type of mug, but I think they did it. It's when you watch it now, you can't miss it. When you watch it again, you'll see it right there. But
You don't ever let me go too fast. If I ever skip over anything, I want you to get
no.
every bit of info in that you have ready. So
And
go ahead.
my collector bug tells me I want to try to find that mug,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
but it's probably just something from Kohl's or something that they
yeah.
bought and had on the set. But like I'd love
Stamped
to
it on
find it.
there. So he's bugging Lavinia. Where's your horse gear? Mom's gonna freak out. And then what happens? Mom comes out and she's freaking out. Where's
Yeah.
your brother? Where's Benny? He's probably in the barn, getting stoned, rats him out.
Yeah.
But then, but then there's Benny in the barn getting stoned, smoking a doob.
Yeah,
So
she knew exactly what was happening. I
yeah,
also love her hair is in this like triangle hair clip with purple streaks in her hair.
Rodney's a vertebrae, a fan of colored hair.
Yeah. Well, no, but I think it's the stuff in the sky
Yeah, part of the theme.
and
Yeah.
the triangle transition and this and that. I think that's, but maybe I am a fan.
I know. I mean, I guarantee everything is connected. It has to be. Like I said, every frame in this movie is important in some way, shape, form, or fashion. So Benny found Grandpa's old glasses. Lavinia found Grandpa's old, what is it? The compass, which
Compass.
she was using in her seance down by the river. She mentions to her bro, she met this land surveyor, Ward. He's kind of cute. Flirting
Yeah.
again. Yeah, ready to go.
Did you think she was a practicing like witch, or did you think she was just a teenage girl who was just messing around
In
and
the beginning, teenage girl messing around. At the end, I'm damn near ready to blame her for everything that happened in this movie because of this seance she's doing right now.
Mhm.
So yeah, she met the land surveyor. He's kind of cute. Okay. Now, this is what I didn't catch the first couple of times. She mentions he's surveying something for the water, though. Not sure why. Okay, sure. Just a line. Just listening, just watching a movie. Then we meet the young brother, Jack, who's looking down the well in the
Did you
family
call him
water.
Jack Jack?
Is his name Jack? It's Jack, but they call him Jack, right?
I think so. I
So he's
think
looking,
so.
yeah, he's looking down the well. Why are you looking down the well? Oh, Nick Cage, Dad Nathan said to get water. He can see stars down in the water,
Uh-huh.
but he's also supposed to get water out of the well. Again, I'm like, okay, water, more water. But Dad did too much acid back in the day. That's why he's seeing stars in the water. But he couldn't untie the rope, so he wasn't able to get the water from the well.
But right now the water's, I mean, it's dirty water. I would assume it's
So
not
this is,
good.
yeah, I couldn't imagine water from a well ever being clean. I don't understand well water till this day. None of it makes any sense to me. Yeah,
And I think the stars is just a reflection from the sky.
yeah,
Probably.
100%. They're already tripping out. So
But they're very just now. They're very just a family, and they've moved to this farm. They've been there about a year, I think.
yeah,
The story in the book lasts much longer than this. It goes through seasons.
mhm.
So we deal with the aftermath of this over a period of seasons.
Well, this is where my brain starts catching on because she's like, "Oh, you know, Ward, the water surveyor is looking around." Immediately, the frame after is Jack looking down the well, talking about the water. And
Mhm.
then immediately, the frame after that, we have water getting poured into a cup.
Yes.
All of this I watched multiple times and it never clicked with me until this final time where I was watching it tripping out and wrote in my notes, "What the hell is up with this water?"
No accident. No accidents in this movie.
This
And we
water is very all of the water in this movie is very important. Did not know that the first couple of times. So we got the fam eating dinner, bickering about dinner,
Well,
eating
wait, so
duck.
the mom is up in their
Yes,
large attic, and
yes.
she's working on the computer, so they've clearly she was ill, she had cancer, they've moved there to the dad's farm, and she's working from this attic, and they can't kinda get it to work right for her. In that attic is this really big, like, triangle-shaped window.
Window.
So we saw the triangle before with Lavinia and the hair clip, now we see it
Oh
here.
my
There's
god.
kind of just this thing going
Yo.
on,
Yeah,
and that attic obviously plays a big role later on.
I didn't even
Uh,
notice the triangle theme.
they
You're genius, brilliant.
they come downstairs and dad serves, do you remember what he served?
It's a melange of duck
Oh, I love it.
and something else.
So it's a cassoulet dish, a French dish, and they say, like, originally, like, a peasant dish or something like that, but it originated in this town in France called Castelnaudry, I'm gonna say, and it was during the the 100 Years' War with the British, and you just kinda threw what you had together, right? A casserole kind of thing that we would have, and I guess they had a really good victory. So then everybody just wanted to have this castle ole dish, where I'm butchering it, but have it from there on after.
And Jack loves duck, and Nick Cage looks right back at him and goes, "Everybody loves duck." So mom runs downstairs. She's pissed. Her food's getting cold. The router doesn't work. This running theme of this router. This is like my life
Do you think
going
that
on in the
router is
house.
a dish? You think it's a satellite dish? Because 'Cause they're kind of in.
He's like, I'll go fix the dish.
Yes. Oh, yeah, that's right. So it was a dish.
Life in the sticks.
And then they go.
So they're talking about the alpacas in the yard.
Yeah. And
Uh,
he says, do you remember what Nicolas Cage says to her?
they're the animal of the future.
Yeah, but what does he say when they're outside? Because after this, they go outside and have their little touching moment.
What? Nick and his wife.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're outside recollecting on how they are becoming like their parents. Right now,
Yes.
this is also very important
Yes.
because throughout the movie, they become their parents, which is incredible to see.
And maybe they become everything all at once in
Mm.
some way, shape, or form. Because this movie warps your forward, your back, your
I
time,
I we're gonna get into
your
all of it.
existence. And he says to her, the dream the dream you dream together is reality, right? And that is a John Lennon quote. So we throw in a little John Lennon quote there.
They're outside recollecting on this. He's talking. Nick Cage is talking about his dad and how much of a dick he was, and does this like little impression of his dad. Which, let's just be honest and knock it out right now and not mention it again. But it is very Donald Trumpy, this impersonation thing that Nick Cage is doing.
I
It's
think so. And I think when he gets a little crazy,
he switches, he
it gets that
flips.
voice
Yes,
again.
yes, he has these waves of like he's Nick Cage or he's Nathan, and then he's his dad, who's just got this really dicky tone to him. But that's what I reflected it to. That's how I remembered when I saw this movie. I was like, oh yeah, Nick Cage does that thing. But it's his dad being a dick, and they're recollecting on that. And then Nick Cage tries getting it in. It's been 6 months, and she's not about it. She's not feeling like herself because she's got cancer. But they're proud to be out of the big city. They're living their dream. And then we got the big shots of the dark woods. All right. The long shot of the house. The long shot of the house. There's a lot of movies I feel like that get referenced in this movie. And the
Yes.
long shot of the house constantly reminds me of Evil Dead.
Evil Dead, it has a little bit of Halloween to
Yes.
it.
I was gonna ask if this house was another house from something else, like from Krampus, that we should know about.
It's in one of the snow globes.
Yeah, yeah. Who knows? Who knows? So here we go. We cut to the daughter in bed. She's asleep. We got the brother in his room. He's looking at outer space on his computer,
Yes.
drinking what I thought was vodka, but since the heavy water theme in this movie, I guess it's just a glass of water.
Right. And on his wall says, "No flesh shall be spared," which is Mark 13 Bible quote. And it's also in Richard Stanley's other movie, Hardware, that he did way back in the day. So it's a nod to that.
Every frame of this movie is important. Nick Cage is upstairs with his wife. They're trying to get it in. She's not feeling it. She's sick. She's just not. She's not about it. Then we got Jack in bed, and the house starts shaking.
He's freaked out by that fuzzy pterodactyl hanging up too.
Yeah, that starts shaking around. Then Nick Cage, our dad and our mother start getting it in. Where Vinny is in bed listening to some death metal or black metal or some witch metal or whatever she's listening to. And then we get our shot of the sky, this big ring, this pink purple ring in the sky beginning to glow.
And what's in the bed with Lavinia? She's got books. And did you notice one of the books?
The main character book, the Necronomicon.
Yes,
Another
which is a Lovecraft, story thing that he had. It's a fictional book. I think
Evil
at
Dead
one point in
again.
my life, I thought that was a real book for sure. I remember they sold that exact copy. I remember seeing that at the bookstore, and I think I was afraid to even read it because I was like, oh my God, what is this going to do? It's going to summon some mystical beast or something if I read this out loud. But I knew people that swore by it. They bought copies and burned candles and read passages. So she's headed down that path right here. And that's a fictional book. Lovecraft made it up. Some people say, oh, it's real, but no, he made that up. And that runs through a lot of movies, that runs through a lot of his other stories, other writers' stories, and it's taken on kind of a life of its own.
And while all this is going down, Jack steps out of his room. And then we got Sam, the family dog.
He knows what's up.
He
Sam knows something's going on.
Snarling. He is ready to go. Everything turns purple, pink, and the dog lunges, but everything cuts and we don't know what happens. Then we just see the brother, Benny. He's at his computer at his desk, and there's this big gob of spit hanging down. He's
he's drooling. He's
having a seizure. He's like a
seizure?
catatonic. Yeah, he's having something. He's spaced out at his desk. The daughter's in bed. Mom and dad still getting it in though. This purple pink light is not stopping them from 1 second for having some sex. And Jack's in the hallway covering his eyes, and we get this purple burst of light. And boom, everything shakes. The house shakes. Mom and dad get interrupted from banging. Jack screams this blood curdling, horrifying scream.
And we see we get a shot of the lovely alpacas at one point basked in the purple light as well at that point. That's what takes me out of the movie, because there's these cute alpacas with their fancy haircuts.
Cute for now.
Yes.
And they're comforting Jack. And then we find our other character in this movie, the big purple asteroid that's sitting in the yard.
And you know what's funny is, although this is purples and pinks and they play with those colors, in the story, it's difficult. It's color that they can't describe.
Yeah.
And they're only just calling it color in lieu of another name, because there's no other way for them to describe it. But that being said, picking the colors that they picked for this work beautifully.
Phenomenal. Yeah, and I was tripping out. I felt like what they were going through, I was going through. I was spaced the hell out watching this. And Nick Cage, our dad Nathan, I'm going to keep calling him Nick Cage. I mean, it's Nick Cage. He's like, it smells. Blech, blech. He can't stand the smell of it, but it only seems like
he's the only one
who smells it.
Yeah.
Mom's right. There's something wrong with Jack. He's on the couch. He's not talking. Mom wants to take him to the hospital. Dad's like, nah, it's over an hour away.
And two, who was the first one to get to the meteor when it landed? Sam, the dog.
Oh, yeah, he was
He's
standing there.
out
Yeah,
there
get out of here,
already.
Sam. Get out of here, Sam.
He's our dog hero.
Dad pours himself a drink. He smells something. What is that smell? And then boom, Jack snaps out of it. My head hurts.
Did you notice like this? Nick Cage's personality starts to almost change right here.
Right here where he grabs a drink because
Yes, he seems very callous considering he was having a thoughtful moment about the farm and their family and worried about how his daughter's riding on the horse. And then here it just kind of clicks almost immediately.
And he's like, he pours himself a drink and Mother's like, really? This is what you do now? And he's like, considering the situation, what else can I do?
A lot.
So we got the next morning. I guess this is the mayor shows up.
Yes.
And the asteroid's smoking in the front yard.
And this part is very 80s to me. This movie seems to cover a lot of different ground. And it's very beautifully shot at points, very trippy, very strange, lots of practical effects, which I know you love.
Oh, with them, yeah.
Quirky, lots of quirky parts. This scene seems very 80s. This seems very they could care less. They come in, they check it out.
They do not care. The mayor's like, you should have sold me this land. He's telling the cops what happened, this pink light, and he's like, he's still choking like he's gonna vomit, but there's other people there and nobody else is choking like he's choking. And then our land surveyor Ward Phillips shows up, a hydrologist. Sorry, I'm an idiot.
And he's instantly the smartest guy in the entire movie.
Yes.
Much like in Gremlins, when they take Gizmo to the high school science teacher, everyone instantly starts asking Ward every science related question.
Well, jokingly, Ward asked Lavinia if this happened because of her ritual. Yes. Ha. Quick line in passing. Me? Yes. I think yes. 100%. I'm saying yes.
Really? So
I'm saying yes.
First couple times I saw it, honestly, I didn't think that. I thought
I'm probably wrong. I'm always wrong. I'm just saying me.
But I did look at stuff online and people really connected that up to be how it went.
I could be wrong.
But I thought she was just messing around. But she is the one that has a different fate than everyone else. So, hey.
But she's flirting back and forth with him. Yeah, come on, let's go see the asteroid. She brings him over to the meteorite. And he's asking the mayor if he can get some help. There's Nick Cage, and she's beefing. This is try the hospital in Arkham.
Yeah.
Isn't there one closer? Welcome to life in the sticks.
And they've been there like a year. So she's like delivering that line after they've been there a year. Yeah, they clearly know her.
You should have sold me this property. She seems pissed. It seems like there's prior beef with the mayor.
Well, I think if they're surveying the land for a reservoir.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Then maybe they wanted to sell them to buy that property so they could expand that reservoir and not have to dance around them.
Mm-hmm.
And he probably was like, nope, we're going to move my family there.
But he sends Lavinia into the house. Go in the house. Mom says she's throwing. So she walks in the house and she's like, who is that? Oh, that's the land surveyor Ward. And she goes, well, you look like you're throwing yourself at him. Look at how you dress. And this is Mom turning into her mother now.
We see it immediately.
Pisses off the daughter. Lavinia walks away. And then they're all looking at the meteor. And then Benny, the smart one, 2 good points. Is it radioactive like kryptonite?
And what does Nicolas Cage say?
Oh, God, I hope not.
Yeah, he says, Christ, I hope not, which is hilarious because that's a clear reference to the failed Superman movie.
Him being Superman. I did think that
he was going to be in.
I did think that. And
so
then
which is a phenomenal documentary, by the way, that Superman thing that never happened. But that was a clear. I didn't catch that until I saw it the third time. I just thought it was a kryptonite joke.
I thought that was a nod to it, definitely. But then Benny asked, maybe it's valuable. And then Nick Cage is like, whoa, I didn't think of that either. But don't mind this. Yeah, we got this flaming asteroid in our yard. We got to go milk the alpacas. So they go walk away, and Ward's there, and he's like, yeah.
This is a
Wait,
weird scene. This is a
yeah,
weird
they're
scene.
very weird. And Ward's like, what? So then we cut. There they are. We got Nick Cage. We got the son Benny. We got Ward sitting in the thing, shooting this alpaca milk into the bucket. And like he shoots once, and the son's like, "Nice shot, Dad. Thanks, Benny." Like
So
what?
weird.
And even Ward is. So I think like this is when like
They're getting
everybody,
weird.
yeah,
They're
yeah.
starting to get weird, and then he offers Ward some, and then he's like, "I'm lactose intolerant."
A full, it's like a ladle, but it's not, it's bigger than a ladle. It's like a cup and fresh out of the teat. And Nick Cage is like, suit yourself, and just gobbles this shit up. So then we cut to Lavinia, super upset in her room. She's pinching herself. And Ward's like, who else lives on the property? Well, Ezra, our squatter. I don't know if he's going to talk to you. He's special.
Yeah.
And then a storm begins to roll in.
The unsung hero of this film.
Yeah.
Ezra.
But we see these shots of a storm kind of rolling in, clouds rolling in. Terror is looming over this area. We show up at Ezra's house, and it's Tommy Chong, man.
Yeah.
Cool.
But the
cool.
character in the book, Ami, is married and lives nearby, and has been checking in on the Gardner family because this process takes much longer. He's definitely not by himself and just like living on this cool. I'm not going to call it a shack, but this cool setup that he has.
I mean, I'm
going
going to
on.
call it a shack.
It's a fort. Can it be a fort? Can we
Yeah,
call
it's
it a fort?
something. Ezra was a ex-electrician, and he's got these cameras all over his property.
So he was an ex-electrician. There's a cut scene, and in that scene, it's an extended version of when we meet him. He says he was an electrician at Spivey Point from The Fog. Remember in the beginning of The Fog? Spivey Point.
Wow.
And they've made no bones about them loving Carpenter films, and in particular The Thing, but there's a fun little reference. It's in the extended version of the scene, but not in there.
I know why you picked this movie. This is like The Thing, but for 2020, essentially. It is very much Thing.
Yeah, this is like if I just made a movie, I think.
Yeah.
I might have cut out the milk in the alpaca scene.
Alpacas, but you gotta let the audience know that they're getting weird.
Yeah, it's getting weird.
So they knock on the door, and Chong is there, and he knows, hey, you're the land surveyor. I know you. The land surveyor doesn't know Ezra, but Ezra knows him. Ezra says a lot of birdies told him. There's a lot of birdies in this forest. And then he offers him a hit of his joint. You want to hit? I didn't think you want one. Where's G-Spot, the cat? Isn't it funny? A pussy named G-Spot.
Yeah. That's very 80s movie, that joke.
So we asked him, you want a bit of the Java? I figured he was going to pour him some coffee. It's not coffee. He says, like, don't mind the ale. I guess it's the water. Don't mind the H2O. It's gone a little brackish.
Oh.
More water all over this bitch. Mind you, I watched this movie multiple times, didn't notice a water theme, not even once. I'm slow. You have to deal with me. But Ward can't smell it. He's smelling this. I can't smell anything. It's probably just rust from the pipe. There's been this problem with the well, but only in the summer. So he's like, I take this up. I could run some tests on it. Yeah, sure. Take the water. Big storm. Boom, boom. Lightning. Everything. Cracking. Boom. And then
hitting the meteor. And in the book, it says that it hit it of like a purpose. And it was, I think he gave it a number. Lovecraft gave it 6 times that the lightning struck. I didn't go back and count if it was
maybe. It was close to it. The lightning is cracking onto this asteroid in the yard. Lavinia is outside in the rain watching this happen. Perhaps conjuring it, some might say.
Well, it feels like she's like kind of like, it's coming. It's here it is.
She says it's calling the lightning, I think she says. Something like that.
Yes.
Okay, now here we go. This is when I'm tripping out. Mind you, we're into the movie and I am flipped right now. And this scene happens. This was one of the scenes where I had to stop and rewind multiple times. We got Ward. He's testing this water. He tests the water. He puts the dipper in the water and he pulls the dipper out and it's red. And then
Yeah.
it turns this pinkish, purplish color.
Well,
So
we see now we start seeing that all over the place.
he's listening to his radio. The radio gets warped and staticky. He gets a call on the phone. He can't hear anything on the phone. It's scrambled. He hears a noise in the bushes. All right. He puts his flashlight on, and in the glow of the flashlight, there's like this. I think I saw like a predator, like that clear kind of figure. I don't know what I saw. You see like
Something's forming, unforming, coming together. Throughout this movie, I feel like we're crossing over into time, and the time is unclear. So I don't know what we're seeing there. If it's the vestiges of another person, another time, is it somebody else in that form? Because they really mess with that time,
Then the lights turn on the car behind him.
right? And he's reading, and I'm going to tell you what book he's reading.
Oh, so when he's sitting down before all the
Well, he holds it up when the car lights
okay.
come on. He holds it up to block, and it's clear as day. And it's a novella called The Willows, and it's written by Algernon Blackwood, and he was a huge influence on Lovecraft. And Lovecraft considered that story, and I got a quote here, to be the finest supernatural tale of English literature. And we won't go into the willows, but it's two friends on a canoe trip, and in the willows and the trees, there's stuff swaying. And surprise, surprise, he writes that the trees move and sway without noticeable wind. So Lovecraft borrowing this, which a lot of these writers did at the time, from each other. And the willows is this supposedly phenomenal story, and so he's reading it right there. Probably not a great book to read while you're sitting in the woods by yourself. I mean, in his defense, he didn't know things were about to get real. But
this is one of the most educational episodes of In Madness Pod yet. I love it.
Sponsored by your local library.
Yeah. The lights from the car turn on. He locks it with this book. They shut off. The radio turns on. Okay. And the rain starts falling. Okay. And it's falling in his mouth. And he's like, you could tell he's like, something's up with the water here. And he covers his mouth so the rain doesn't get in it briefly. And again, I watched this movie multiple times and did not notice that. So that freaked me out. I was like, what is up with the water? It's something with the water. I can't believe I watched this movie so many times and didn't notice the entire theme is water.
It's one big commercial for bottled water.
Yeah, for Poland Spring. Then we cut to our shot of this gaping hole in the ground. The meteor has disappeared.
But even before that, we see the well, and there's like some sort of salamander lizard thing,
red, pink,
with purpley stripes on it.
Yeah.
And we'll see the animals get affected. That's in the original story as well. They stumble upon some woodchuck, these kids, and it's kind of deformed. There's supposedly a rabbit that runs across the road in front of somebody's wagon, which in this something runs across in front of somebody's car.
Yeah.
And the rabbit kind of runs a little odd and stuff like that. So I think it's already affecting nature.
Yeah. So I mean, that's our next thing here is the meteor is missing. There's a gaping hole in the ground. And also, did you plant these flowers? There's red flowers growing all over the place. No, maybe they're perennials. They're by the well. Most of these perennials are surrounding the well. And the meteor pulls up to the house. They're talking, here we go with the crap. This is one of my favorite parts. And we cut to Nick Cage, I guess, after this, and he's watching himself on the news with a drink in his hand. Jesus Christ, could nobody give me a comb?
His hair's all winging out on the side.
His hair is freaking out. He sounds like he's drunk. I had a drink. I like this whiskey from Texas. UFO witness. I didn't say UFO witness. You said UFO witness.
And this moment,
here we go,
is the last pleasant moment in this film for anybody.
We are shutting this bitch down. This is one of the many blood sprays in the face of a child that this movie holds, because it
Yes.
holds more than one. We got Mom Dukes in the kitchen, and she's cooking us our dinner. Breaks open this egg, and this bloody ass yolk and dead little chicken falls into the bowl. But we cut away from that clip really quick, because what are we even seeing? What is going on? She's cutting carrots, chop, 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 chop. And Nick Cage is watching himself on TV. Go get your mother. Go get your mother. Jack goes in. Mom, she looks at him, does a chop down, flap, chops her fingers off, blood sprays all over Jack's face. And then she puts her hand up and she's like, dinner's ready. And there's 2 fingers missing.
Yes.
And she's completely like mindless to it.
Yeah. Which I don't know is possible for that to happen, but it gets us into the
sprays blood all over Jack. This kid's like 7 years
insanity
old
of this movie, and then even just sort of the next parts, how it's being handled, and the time gets really warped here.
Everything, and and my mind does too, and so do my notes. I have such wild notes from here on. I mean, even more wild than they already
And
were.
I think people can excuse us if we lose spaces in certain parts in this, because it's intended to have you lose. So
you don't know who's tripping. I'm like, is he tripping, or is he tripping, or are they both tripping, or am I? It's crazy. So we're going to the hospital. We got to take care of Mom.
And the alpacas. He
Nick Cage, take care of the alpacas. I want him in by 10 o'clock. 10 o'clock, not a minute later.
I feel like that's his thing. Like, maybe they moved to this farm and she's got this successful career, but like he invested his money in these alpacas, and he's got to find a way to make it work.
Because it's a bad investment, because in the beginning of dinner, the daughter's like, why did you even get them? And the whole family's like, don't bring that up.
Yeah,
and
there's a conversation about alpaca meat.
Yeah, and you could tell Nick Cage is immediately like, ugh.
Yeah, Dad made a mistake. He ran into a shady alpaca salesman who talked him in to these 4 cute alpacas.
He went to the Mogwai dealer, but instead of Mogwais, he got alpacas. So the sister's pissed off because Benny has been left in charge, because he's the man of the house. So he's walking around with the alpacas to put them away, but the dog is looking at the alpacas. Like they're shady. Okay. And then this scene, this quick 0.3 second scene that I didn't notice the first couple of times I watched it, he puts the alpaca in the barn, and the alpaca goes up to a bucket of water and drinks the bucket of water. More water.
We're transferring that evil all over the place.
So the sister comes outside. I guess it's the next day. The sister comes outside, and she's like, what the hell, bro? Why didn't you put the alpacas away? And he's like, I did. I did. Why are they out again? And then
this insane movie, this is the one part I don't understand.
The alpacas being out again?
Yeah. How are they opening?
A lot of weird shit starts happening.
The gate? Did he not put him in there? Did they get it?
Who knows? Yeah. And it gets weirder. It keeps getting weirder. And I love, the weirder it gets, the more I am like falling deeper and deeper into this well with them as they are. I felt like I lived this movie with them while I was watching.
Yes.
Then here we go. We see Jack in front of the well whistling. Lavinia sits down next to him, and this motherfucker goes, shh, it's talking to me. Not he, not she. It's talking to me. And then she goes, what's talking to you? The man in the well. Like, I'm freaking out. I'm freaking out. So Lavinia freaks out. She gets up and walks away. And then she begins to hear this whistling from the well.
Yeah, she hears it too. And then we get a shot of that well. And the first time you see it, you almost expect to see something come out of it.
Well, yeah. So, yeah, the phone rings. She runs in. It's Dad on the phone. It's all scrambled. She can't hear it. There's more red flowers around the well. Jack's looking in the well, and yeah, what does he see? Can you tell me what the hell is in this well? He
I don't
sees
know.
something happen in this well.
Some sort of pod.
It's a nest, a thing. Yeah. It hatches open, and I guess like it's a purple praying mantis with like
Yes,
butterfly wings.
beautiful praying mantis, and a nice shot that they have in there where they zoom right in on the face of it. And this is a theme in the book too, just animals being distorted and things being weird colors that aren't supposed to be there. And it takes place, this is a quick period, well, we think it's a quick period of time. In the book it's more seasonal, and they're dealing with, oh, it's now the winter and this happened and there's snow on the ground and this weird thing happened as well. But this is a beautiful praying mantis. I'd like that as a paperweight on my
Yeah,
desk.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. You should get like a little pop Funko Pop purple praying mantis.
I don't think they have it.
They don't. They should make one. Hopefully, they're fans of In Mad in this pod, and they get
You
on
get
it.
the well, like it could be a set.
Yeah. So it comes out, it stares at Jack, it flies away. Now, in my notes here, I have hold on to your shit because it's about to get nuts. Okay. This is another reason this movie took me forever to watch, because I stopped and rewound and studied every frame of this scene, because not one cut goes by that doesn't have something important in it. Our first scene is here. We have TV, rain forecast. Next 4 days, rain, more water. Not good. The TV starts flashing purple. We got Lavinia doing the dishes. According to this clock on the wall that they don't just show this clock for no goddamn reason. The clock looks like, I think it says 11:20 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
She's cleaning this knife. Covered in blood. Don't puke. Don't puke. We hear the clock ticking slow down. Boom, 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 boom. Purple flash. We cut to the water coming out of the faucet. Didn't realize this the first couple of times I watched it, but these two little worm hair water things come out of the faucet too.
Yes. Well, I think that's kind of, I guess that would be what happens in the shower with him, and it definitely has those colors. You know, the color described in the book, like I have a quote from it, is that it's displayed shining bands unlike any known color. So I thought of that because of these shining bands. There could be bands of whatever in there, colors of the normal spectrum. And the scientists are studying it in the book, and they say there was much breathless talk of new elements, bizarre optical properties, and other things which puzzled men of science, and just didn't get it. So
Yeah.
we see that throughout this. These color bands, these shining bands of shimmering light.
But it was incredible to see these water things come out and not notice it the first couple of times. But then it shoots back to the clock. And now it's 4:45.
Yeah.
So you're talking a flash of light just happened, and now we're 5 hours and 25 minutes later. And the sink is still running. The faucet is still running. There's water all over the floor. The water is now blood, because the bloody ass knife in the sink is all over the floor. The phone rings again. You hear Nicolas Cage, our dad, yelling, screaming again, but it's hard. It's in, it's out. You can't really hear it.
So I wonder, having the third watch of this, or fourth watch, was, since we're playing with time and space and where we're headed, is that like one of his later freakouts that he has? Is she hearing that?
The future, yeah, with her witchy seance stuff, and she can, yeah, because he has that, his dad's tone of voice that he was using earlier, and you can hear him cutting in and out of that on the phone,
or what she thinks she heard, because her mind is being warped.
Everybody's mind is being warped.
And is his
water.
So dad's sense of smell is being warped. Her hearing is kind of being warped in this way.
Yeah.
So
And her tum-tum, her stomach's growling, she's puking. There's a knock on the door and it's Ward, and here she comes. She looks like she woke up from the worst bender ever. She's like, "Hello," and he's like, "Oh my god, don't drink the water. It's contaminated."
He's the most serious
Yeah,
say the word for me.
hydrologist. Yeah,
I can't say it.
I think it's hydrologist.
That
Yeah.
you've ever met. He's so
Um,
serious about
Don't
it.
drink the water. It's contaminated. She's like, "Yeah, sure." Runs away and she goes to puke. And Ward's like, "God damn it!" And then he turns around and he sees Jack's crazy ass in the front yard. "What are you doing?"
Hmm.
He's staring at the well. He walks over. "What are you doing?" "I'm playing with friends." Just staring at the well, and then laughs like he just heard a joke from the well.
The kids and the animals always figure it out first.
Oh my god. Always the creepiest. So he walks over to Ezra, goes knock on his door and check on him, and Ezra is on his knees with like a stethoscope sort of device, listening to the ground, drinking a cup of very dark water. Ward asks, "Where's G-Spot?" "I haven't seen her since all this started." "Since what started?" "Shh. You can hear them down there."
So is that the voices that Lavinia's hearing on the phone?
"I mean, hear
Maybe.
who?" And then he gives him the headphones, and Ward listens. And Ezra says, "I can hear them when I sleep, shuffling around. I knew no one would believe me unless I got it on the Memorex." He's got the reel-to-reel recording in his shack. And then I feel like Ward's hearing is affected. So Ward, he was smelling the water. He's like, "I can't smell anything." Then he's listening to this thing from Ezra, and he's like, "What am I supposed to be listening for?" He doesn't seem to hear it. Ezra goes, "The people under the floor, dude. The aliens."
Now Ward is the only one who hasn't drank the water.
But it was raining on him. It doesn't. So it doesn't matter. I don't think it matters because of this line right here. Ward's like, "It's probably the geothermal activity." Ezra goes, "Nah, they came on the rock. It's not out there. It's in here. It's in the static, in the moisture. Up is down, fast is slow. What's in here is out there, and what's out there is in here now." That's some Willem Dafoe Lighthouse shit. So good. It doesn't matter. I think it is. It's the water. It's everything. I feel like the water is heavy focus on it, but I feel like that whole area is just got this aura of it doesn't matter. Yeah, and you're affected whether you want to be or not. You're affected.
Absorbed in. Maybe the water pushes it further along because you're ingesting it. Because Ward is really the one who's the rock throughout this, and he's not really affected by this stuff at all.
So now again, who's tripping out? Ward's not convinced. "I'll get back to you tomorrow morning." Ezra's like, "Dude, it's already morning. Okay.
Right.
Okay. We see that it is morning because there's light outside." And Ward's like, "Yeah, whatever you say, dude." So who's tripping? Are we tripping? Is Ward tripping? Is Ezra tripping? I can see that it's daytime. They're saying that it's daytime. One dude says it's daytime. Another dude doesn't notice that it's trippy as hell. I love it. Ward says he's going to keep an eye out for G-Spot. Ezra goes, "You may see her, but you won't recognize her." God damn, what is going on in this movie?
Insanity. And then we cut to them
Speaking of insanity, we cut to Nick Cage
singing opera.
Opera in his car to his wife who just chopped her fingers off. Like he seems like he's freaking. He's done. He's Jack Nicholson in The Shining. He is off the deep end. But is he? Because he's Nicolas Cage. So like you can't really tell what's sane and what's not.
But I think they did a good job of establishing him in the beginning as sane. Maybe
Yes.
he made some bad alpaca business choices.
Everybody's
Okay,
got
that's fine.
Yeah.
But we don't see him do anything weird or crazy until after the meteor hits. Everyone else is kind of doing normal stuff.
So while his dickhead ass is singing opera to his wife, who's just been chopped fingers off, sitting in surgery, getting her fate, whatever, he's singing opera.
What a bad move. I don't know how long they were married, but geez, chill
She's
out, man.
she's again pissed off about her clients. Oh, I'm gonna lose so many clients and work. And then boom, they slam the brakes because this mutant cat-looking thing crosses the road. And they're freaking out. Did you see its eyes? What was that? I think that was G-Spot.
That was G-Spot. And this movie does a good job of telling us something and delivering immediately.
Immediately, so you don't
Cutting to a shot from water to this water to that. They tell us that right away.
And it took me multiple times of watching it to understand that. I'm slow again. Mom's freaked out. She wants to call home. And Jack's just sitting at the well. And the dog sits next to him, okay?
Love this dog.
Dog sniffs him. You hear a whistle. You see a bright pink, purple light. And the dog snarls and runs into the light. And then you just hear Sam again with this damn podcast and this theme of just slaughtering dogs. You hear this dog get tore up.
So happy we didn't see it.
Yeah, you hear it. It's not pleasant to listen to either. It's pretty messed up. But Jack is still sitting there just mesmerized as all this is happening. Like he can see it happening, but he can't because it's in the light, but it's creepy.
And the reflection of the light they zoom in on his face, the reflection of light on his glasses, everything. Phenomenal.
And Lavinia's in bed. She's listening to music, but even with her earbuds in, she can hear the whistling. So she's creeping around the house. She goes into Benny's room. She's staring at the computer, tripping out, getting sick to her stomach. But then Benny shows up. What are you doing in my room? The strangest thing
seeing on the computer, it was weird.
I don't know what it looked like, a zoom in of an eye pupil, but it also looked like a planet. So I couldn't tell if it was an eyeball or a planet, but she's looking at it and nothing's really happening. It's just like this really high tension music and
he has a lava lamp next to the computer and it's got like multiple colors in the lava lamp as well, like going around. It's not just like one solid color lava lamp.
Is it the color out of space?
Yeah, maybe he's saving a piece.
Like the Blob.
Where are those lava lamps? Sell us those lava lamps.
I used to have a lava lamp.
Did you?
Yeah, when I was in 7th grade.
I think I might have had one. I feel like I had an orange. Maybe it was orange or something.
I think mine was blue.
It was blue. Do you still have it?
No. Those things go bad after a while, I think.
What do they do? Just dry up?
Yeah, I think the liquid inside just goes bad after a while. If you know anything about lava lamps, send us all of
Let
your
us
lava
know.
lamp knowledge.
And the liquid in my lava lamp has gone brackish.
At In Madness Pod on all the socials. So Benny's like, the strangest thing happened. I was outside and it was daytime, and then all of a sudden it was nighttime, and I felt like I got lost. And then they both hear this whistling now. And the phone rings again, and it's scrambled again. The lights flicker. We got Jack outside, standing in the driveway, and here come mom and dad, and they are pissed off. Why is Jack outside? Lavinia's like, something's going on here. There was a sound. I was sick. You called up. You yelled at me. They're like, what?
Yeah.
I tried calling you. I couldn't get through. And then he does his dad's voice, his like dickish voice.
Yes. A lot of hand movements when he's speaking to them.
Alpacas. They are alpacas. So he's yelling about the alpacas. He goes to collect them because they're out. And again, Benny thinks he's like, I put them away. What is going on? Should we warn them? Warn them about what? They don't even know what to tell them because they don't know how to explain what the hell is going on. So when we get Nick Cage, he goes back upstairs with the wife and he's super pissed off at himself. And he's like, I just freaked out on Lavinia. I'm not going to be winning any Dad of the Year awards. And then he goes into the shower. Again, water. I'm like, oh, this cannot be good. So he looks down the drain and there's this like I don't know, it's a disc, like a jelly disc or
Yeah,
something in the
at first,
drain.
it looks like a stopper to the drain with some hair, and then he picks it up, and it's this gelatinous muck.
It wraps like tentacle legs around his hand. He screams, he throws it down. He's like, "Ugh." He's like washing his hands off. And he gets out of the shower and he's like, I still smell something. And then again, it smells like the cancer ward where my father was dying.
Oh,
The
it's so
cancer ward.
bad.
You know anything about cancer? And he's like being a dick to his wife.
Oh,
And
so mean in
oh
front
my
of the
god.
kid. It's awful.
And
Kid's
that
upset
dog
about grandpa.
disappeared. Yeah, he's upsetting everybody. So he's acting like a dick, but he's snapping in and out of it. But the wife just wants to get online because she has a bunch of work to do. And she sees all these weird mushrooms growing out of the ground.
Mhm.
Nick Cage's tomatoes, big ass tomatoes, are growing up huge, and they're a month early.
Yeah, and I guess in the book, so all this stuff starts coming up early, and the farmer gardener's so excited by this that he orders like extra barrels to like hold all the stuff. Like he's like, this is gonna be quite the bounty. And then it's in book two, it's just such a putrid taste that even one small bite disgusts you.
So
So
our wife's upstairs. She's working. The internet's crapping out because he didn't fix the dish. She comes down. She is screaming. She's screaming about the internet. He's looking at his dope ass tomatoes, bites them, spits it in the sink, picks up another one, bites it, spits it in the sink. He's throwing tomatoes in the trash. She's like, fix the internet. He's throwing more tomatoes in the trash. The shit is hitting the fan. She's like, I need to go have a sit down. Just fix the dish. So then our dad sits down. He has himself a drink. And then we see his arm. It is all crusty.
and he's itching it a little bit when he's picking this stuff, and then we see his arms crusty. But when he sits down, he fixes himself a drink, and in the ice cubes, there's a nice zoom in of that color in the ice cubes.
I didn't even notice. So he dips his finger into the water and rubs it on his dry, crusty arm, which is gross.
I feel like every guy's done that. Like, oh, this will be fine. I'll
just put some liquor on it.
this will be okay.
But the TV's blinking pink in this purple color as dad's watching it. Jack hears his whistling. He leaves the bed, and then we see the shot of, again, the house. Looks like Evil Dead.
Mm.
Speaking of which, then we cut to Lavinia, who is in her room packing her shit, I got to get out of here. Packing her shit to leave, and she picks up the Necronomicon.
Yeah.
She starts looking through it. We go back to dad. He's passed out. There's TV static, but there's like something in the static, and it's grabbing Jack's attention. Outside, the sky is turning purple. The grass is turning pink. Lavinia's in her room. She's doing her seance. Help me. Protect me. Cuts herself. Drips blood on the page. And if there's anything I've learned from the Evil Dead and Necronomicon, you do not do any of the things she's doing.
No. She did them all wrong. Where did she learn this from?
I mean, they say it's a town. It's a witch town. What else are they going to do out there? They're in this life in the sticks. So our brothers hear a noise in the barn. Our wife's looking for her husband, for Nick Cage. The brothers open the barn door and they hear this awful noise.
Oh.
And we get a glimpse of this deformed looking dog creature, but it's only a quick glimpse. We don't see in full what it is they see yet.
Yeah, we're about to head in full.
Full blown shit has hit the fan territory because a bright pink light begins to emanate from our dog creature and shoots out towards Jack.
Mm-hmm.
And mom grabs him, and these mother effers fuse together in the bright pink light, just like the thing.
Yeah, she goes to save and shelter, and we get this awful and moment, and this movie goes up a notch every once in a while. It's the milking of the alpacas, which I feel like that should be a phrase when a movie's about to get crazy. It's the milking
The
of the
milking of the
alpaca.
alpacas, okay.
But and then this when this happens, even their reaction to it is weird. Like it's awful. The very thing, the mom and her son are just molded
So
together.
Jack is coming out of mom's back.
Awful. And that
It
was a lot of there were a lot of practical effects in this movie, and they did that, and in the on the DVD they have some behind the scenes stuff, like shots with that, and filming them together on the couch, and just hideous, absolutely hideous.
gross is what I have here in my notes. Gross. And if that's not bad enough, Lavinia comes down. She's covered in blood because she just carved the shit out of herself upstairs.
And I messed up because she carved something into her hand.
Oh, yeah, I couldn't read it. I tried to read it multiple
Yeah.
times. Do you know what it says?
I don't.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
there's my first gnarly bit I do not have. If anyone knows it, they can email us at inmadnesspod@gmail.com and let us know what it says. I'd love to know. I feel like it's not something random.
I'm sure it has a purpose. Everything in here has a purpose. So she's covered in blood in there. She sees mom and Jack fused together on the couch. Nick Cage can't start the car. He's freaking out.
That's an amazing freak out.
That's me at work every day.
Is when the mic doesn't work.
Yeah, when anything doesn't work. He gets out and it's daylight. But is it day? Is it night? What do we know? And that's the thing. Like, I love how this plays with your brain. And he sees this beautiful portrait-esque painting in front of him. The entire landscape. It's shining, it's glowing, it's colorful. And the kids are on the couch. They're sitting there talking to mom and poor Jack. And they're like, the meteor did this. The meteor did all of this. It changes matter and time, like approaching a black hole. How long has it been? Just like the lighthouse. How long have we been on this rock?
No idea.
They're trapped. The light is shining on the fused bodies, and they're screaming. We got to bring them upstairs to a spot where they're out of the light, right?
Yeah.
They go upstairs to the attic with the triangle window, and it's still light. So what is going on?
And in the book, he the wife gets ill, starts to go mad, and then he does put her up in the attic, but the other son, because there's 3 boys in there, starts to kind of go crazy as well, and he's put in another room across the hall, and they say that the 2 of them they're believed to be communicating to each other in another language across the hall. So in the movie we have very thing fused together, but in the book they're both there, and then eventually the mom stops speaking altogether and only runs around on all 4s in the book,
which she does at some point in
yes,
this, which is another practical effect that I love. I think that's a practical effect.
it absolutely is a practical effect.
So we hear whistling, we hear screaming. Benny's like, something's happening to the alpacas. Nick grabs a shotgun, goes to the barn, and we got our dog thing.
This thing is amazing.
It's a multi-headed. It looks like King Ghidorah from Godzilla, which is the first thing I thought of. It's like it's melted together. It's got many heads.
And they built it, so it's a practical effect, but then they also did a small version of it kind of with wire effects and doing that too, so that they combined that up. I'm sure there's some CGI in there as well, but this is they make no bones about it. Anything you read about the movie, they're not trying to pass this off as they came up with this idea. This is supposed to be the thing.
There's a lot of tribute to it. Yes, definitely. Nick Cage, he blows all the alpacas away. Blood everywhere. Blood all over Nick Cage's face. Bye-bye, alpacas. They're done. He comes upstairs to fused mom and Jack. Go downstairs. What are you going to do? Handle it. like you handled the alpacas. Say bye to mom. So Cage says bye. He's going to say bye. Puts the gun to her head, and then instead gives her a big fat kiss, and all this goop comes
Oh, this
off
like
of her.
purpley slime is transferring between the two of them, and then he feels bad.
We're gonna go. I'm gonna go get help. We're gonna go take that big trip. I'm gonna leave you here, and I'm gonna go get us help because family sticks together.
Literally, family sticks together. Literally.
Aha! Look at that. Beautiful point. Wow, I didn't even think of that. Then we got Ward. He's at the mayor's office, okay? And we hear the mayor in the other room screaming about water contamination. Did not pick that up the first couple times.
Yes, and there's a longer version of the scene where he goes in and talks to her, and it's clear that they just don't want to hear. They want him there to just pass things along and say it's going to be good because they've got to do this reservoir. This was one of her campaign promises or something. But no matter what, the shady mayor has to make this happen.
They got a hell of a problem on their hands with this meteor that fell out of the sky. Ward walks out and he sees the sheriff, and they're looking at this friggin' thing. They got this thing in the back of this dude's truck, and it's all chewed up. And he's like, I don't know what it is. There's burnt up animals and birds and rabbits.
And once again, hey, Mr. Hydraulic, how do you say it?
Hydrologist.
Hydrologist, I can't say it. Can you help us? Like, you know some science.
Look
Can
at
you
these
tell us
burnt up
what this
animals.
is? Look at this hideous thing.
It turns out he does know.
Yeah, he does. He answers all of it.
Burns, yeah.
And in the book, they have a few dogs and a few cats, and a few other pets, I think. Or there may just cats and dogs in there, but this kind of feels like a little bit of a nod to that too, because we've got a lot going on in this grouping here.
So maybe you can explain this part to me, because it doesn't really go explained either. It zooms into him looking into this burnt pile of animals, and there's a small pearl.
Yeah, I have no idea.
What the hell is it? What the hell is it even?
I couldn't find that. I was researching other sources, just trying to find it. No idea. If somebody knows,
making things even weirder. I love it.
It means something. Yeah. Absolutely means something.
So the kids are stealing the horse because they got to get the hell out of there. They want to leave, but it's night. Or is it? Who knows? What do we know? What do we as the audience know? What do they know? Yeah. It may be night. It may be morning. I dig that you cannot believe what you see in this movie. It's incredible. They're hiding. They're being a freak out. They're running away. The
Comet freaks out.
Comet freaks out.
Yeah, Comet's got a little purple sheen in the eye, and Comet, the normally awesome horse, decides, I'm done.
Yeah, runs the hell away, and now they got to walk.
Yeah.
But before they go, our brother Benny hears Sam, the dog, crying, and he looks in the well, and he sees something in the well.
Oh, such a bad plan, Benny. Such a bad plan.
Benny's like, we got to go get the dog. I'm going in the well. So he's going down there. It smells like something died down here. And then boom, the bottom of the well starts glowing pink, cracks open, sucks up Benny. And then right before it gets him, you see him put on Granddad's old glasses that he found to block the light in his face.
And when we have this moment and a lot of these other big moments in it, we hear the music come in and there's the light basking on everything, and it's just insane.
He gets sucked up into the light, and it's bye Benny. Another reference made to him later. That's one of my favorite lines in the movie. Nick Cage snatches up Lavinia after Benny just got sucked into the well, talking like his dad, talking like a dick. She's very sorry. I'll do whatever you want. I'll clean up my language. Like Nick Cage, he's snapping back and forth. He's Nathan, he's regular dad, and then he's like his dad, and he's just being a dick.
And then he decides to do the most disgusting thing in the entire movie. What's he gonna do?
Feed your mother, and throws her in the room where he left mom and locks the door with a padlock.
So mom's supposed to eat her, right?
Is that the point? Is that what he's doing? He's actually feeding her to mother?
I'm thinking
Could be. I mean, it looked like that was about to happen.
he didn't send her in with a plate of sandwiches and
He
say,
did.
"Feed your mom."
He did not. I did. Yeah, that's a good point. Also,
It's
but
just
then we got the shot of Ward. He's driving with the sheriff, and
yeah.
then here comes Lavinia's horse Comet that ran away. And then we got
Well,
Nick pouring himself a drink again, and he's pouring a drink and talking to someone on the couch as if someone is there, but there is no one there. He is fully tripping the hell out.
right, and that's in the story too. The Lovecraft story is that people get there and they ask where the family is, and we get to it in here and in the book. The guy's name is not Nathan; it's Nam, and he says, "Oh, they're right here. My family's all right here." And then in this scene, he's got the TV on.
And it's flashing signals, like
Right. Well,
very
this is a
poltergeist.
Marlon Brando movie on there.
Oh, with
And
this drinking the shots or whatever?
yeah,
Yeah.
and that's One-Eyed Jacks is the film from 1961, and that would be a nod to the ill-fated Island of Dr. Moreau, which Brando was in, and kind of insanity ensued on the filming of that movie. So that's there as well.
And then we cut to Lavinia in the room, and here comes Mom crawling out of the corner on like 8 legs, looking like a spider or something,
Yeah.
and just jumps on her and goes, Lavinia.
Yeah.
And then we got Ward and the sheriff banging on the door. And here comes Dad, Nick Cage, all sorts of messed up. He's scratching his arm.
Yeah.
We got Mom hovering over Lavinia in the attic. And then Ward's like, where's your wife? Like you just said. What do you mean? She's right here. And there's no one there. Everyone's here. Except Benny. Benny lives in the well now.
Amazing. Which
Oh my God.
that's in the book. The
I have
kids, the
goosebumps.
boys.
I have
Oh, goosebumps! I see him. That's in the book. It's another son, but and they say in the book that he lives in the well now too. It's not Benny, but it has a different name. But yeah, that's
So the sheriff kicks the door open, and then we got Mom screaming there. And then Mom looks up, and boom, her head gets blown off. And then we have the second blood splatter all over a child's face in this movie because Lavinia is on the floor under her mom.
but bait and switch, not the sheriff.
Wasn't the sheriff. Nick Cage comes and saves the day, and then puts the gun to, I guess, Jack's head.
Yes.
Pulls the trigger and goes, they're not my family, and just walks away.
Yeah. Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Little laughter. He's got kind of purple stuff coming up around his face, and
He's rotting.
and everybody and this would be the worst sheriff ever. The sheriff.
So this is another weird part where, again, you don't know what you see. You don't believe what you see. Maybe they don't believe what they see. A pink light starts shooting out as well. And Nick Cage lifts the gun, the shotgun, to shoot the light, but Ward is in front of the light.
Yeah.
And the sheriff is behind Nick Cage and sees him pointing the gun at the light, or thinks he's pointing it at Ward, and then the sheriff pulls the trigger and shoots Nick Cage.
The sheriff acts now. He was totally unreactionary to Nick Cage just moments ago, shooting this half mom child spider creature monster, and then just reacts there.
He wants to leave. They've had it. Nick Cage is dead. Nick Cage is dead. We've lost our dad. He's gone. Poor Nick Cage. Rest in peace, Nick Cage.
Or is he? Is he
Or
just
Nathan.
headed into space after this?
Yeah, to become color out of space. Who knows? The sheriff wants to leave, but Lavinia's like, that thing will not let us leave.
No.
Lavinia will also not leave this entire movie. All she's wanted to do is get the hell out of the middle of nowhere. But now when Ward tries to take her away from her dead dad, she's like, I will not leave. I live here now. So Ward and the sheriff go check on Ezra. Okay. And we hear Ezra's voice coming out of his shack. It came down in the rocks. It lives in the well. It grew down there, poisoning everything, changing everything into something like the world it came from. very Thing-esque.
Very Thing, and the recording very Evil Dead.
Yes, because it's slowing down, it's going normal,
Yes.
it's pitch shifting. Yes. Ezra is in this chair and he's dead, sort of. He looks like he's just dried up.
Yeah, I
But
feel like his forehead is pulsating with that color.
it's
I f
glowing, yeah.
I feel like he's become part of this entity or entities as well.
Well, he was drinking that water like it was no damn thing. So yeah, he had it coming. And his forehead collapses in. This pink light starts shooting out of it. So Ward and the sheriff run outside. Sheriff gets snatched up by a tree. His shotgun shoots as he drops it. Ward runs away. He grabs a shotgun. And then he runs into Lavinia, who's standing at the well. She turns around and her eyes are glowing. Her skull, her forehead, just like Ezra, is glowing. And when she looks at Ward in his eyes start glowing. And a light blasts out of her head. And then we get this trippy ass visual scene. What is this scene we see? Is this where it came from?
Yeah, I don't know. This is almost everybody's sort of vision of what a Lovecraftian, other world is, and all these twisty tentacles
It's
and
like worms, like spiked
worms
worms.
and is this where they're from? Is this uh, you know, it's amazing, and it's very this movie, although it's weird and it has practical effects, it's very grounded in a lot of ways. We're just on this farm and it mostly happens there. This the first time you see this, you're like, what just happened? Where how did we get here? Are we just gonna be here now? It's yeah, and I've paused it a lot and kind of tried to see if I could dig in to see if there was anything specific in there, but I think it's just a really awesome artistic vision of this planet, this region that this color I think has probably come from or hopes to take you to, because she's been looking the entire time, Lavinia, for something in her life. She doesn't like where she's at there on the farm. She's gone through stuff with her mom being sick. She's always searching and searching and searching. And, maybe this vision is pure in her soul to her because what happens after we see that vision?
So we see that it's this big, it's all these worms, and then you see this big ass mountain, and at the top of the mountain there's this symbol. It's like, I don't know what it is. It's like a diamond kind of thing,
Yes,
but
which
not
was what
really,
in her
which is
forehead.
on Lavinia's forehead.
Mhm.
And then Ward falls into the grass. The grass starts growing around him. And this light comes out of the well. It's like a pink tornado black hole sort of thing. But Lavinia seems to be harnessing it.
She seems into it and ready to go for this ride. I just thought of this. We saw two big triangles in this movie up in the attic and in her hair clip, and if you put them together, that would actually make that
Oh,
diamond
son of a bitch. It would,
shape.
wouldn't it?
Yeah. I don't know if
Wow.
that's on purpose or not, but
Maybe.
I just thought of that just
But I
now.
don't know. She seems to be controlling the tornado. I'm just saying.
She does, and she seems really into it. Or this Lovecraft would do a lot in his stories of stuff that's incomprehensible to people, and your meager human brains just
Cannot
can't
fathom,
understand this, and it'll blow your mind.
which
And
is
that's
what
what's happening right here.
Ward explains at the very end of this movie, which we are getting to in a mere matter of minutes. This tornado, this black hole, this pink thing coming out of the well into the sky, and Lavinia fades away into ash. Ward begins warping, like his face, like a mushroom trip. Like you get the trails and stuff. This is what's happening with Ward. He's struggling to move. Everything's glowing pink. He goes in the house. He sees Nick Cage on the couch. These things, these worms are growing inside of his face. His eyes are glazed over. And then we see the whole family on the couch.
They're all there.
Very Krampus-esque. All of the movies we have reviewed have had a piece in this movie, I feel. And yeah, the whole family is on the couch. And then our dad, Nick Cage, starts lumbering towards Ward. They start fighting.
And when he's lumbering, there's this movement coming off of him, mist, or could look like they were underwater too. This weirdness that just plays with what is even real. Is the physical matter of their bodies real? Is what in their brains real? Is what the color is bringing you real? We don't know. Are we getting something that's so deep that physical bodies don't even matter at all?
Super trippy. Everything about this movie is fucking insane. And Nick Cage, so Ward goes down to the basement to protect himself. They got a little wine cellar down there. And Nick Cage just slamming on the door. Slam, slam, slam. He can't get in. He can't get in. We get this high tension moment. Everything is escalating and rising. The sound, the music, the lights crescendoing, and then all the wine bottles in the cellar explode. This light shoots out of the well to silence.
And I felt like we saw that wine when he went down in the wine cellar in the beginning of the movie. He was kind of there for a little bit, so I felt like you might see that wine cellar.
I didn't get the point because he's down there and I'm like, what's down here that I need to know about? And then even when he leaves the wine cellar in the beginning, the camera stays there for an extra 6 or 7 seconds. It's very odd.
But all the wine bottles explode, but that liquid is not contaminated.
No, because that was pure, I guess, unless it just maybe it got through the glass. Who the hell knows with this meteor and what it's done to this place. But then we have the blank. It's all of a sudden we get this big crescendo into blank on the screen. And the focus comes back and there are skeletons everywhere. This place has been torched.
Right. And in the book, they call this area the Blasted Heath, which I think is also a metal band. And it's a reference to in a Shakespeare story, but it's where nothing grows. And Lovecraft even drew a picture of this in a letter to a friend. He was a very prolific letter writer. And in 1934, he wrote a letter to his friend and drew a picture of what he thought the Blasted Heath. We could put that up on our socials, the Lovecraft picture of that. But yeah, it's like the atomic bomb is dropped in that area.
And then out crawls Ward from this blast. He's dazed. He's confused. He finds Lavinia's compass. It's all dusty. We see the well. Still, there's like smoke. And we get this aerial shot, okay? Where it's just going up and up and up. And everything in this spot, it's white, it's burnt, it's ash, it's gone. All keeps going up and up and up and up and up. And then all of a sudden we start seeing green of forest. And like you see this whole round radius circumference of this area has been like blasted with like a black hole from space. It's incredible. So then we cut to Ward. He's standing on this dam. And he says, I hope the dam waters that cover this place will be very deep. But even then, I'll never drink it. Cuts to Ward. He's on the dam. There's water behind the dam. There's the stream on the other side. The sun's setting. And then, like you were saying, how we can't comprehend with our mind, Ward says, only a few of us remember the strange days now. What touched this place cannot be understood by human science. And he opens up the compass, and it seems to be flippy, twisting out of control. I don't know if you noticed that or not.
Yes.
It's kind of freaky. It was color out of space, a messenger from realms whose existence stuns the brain and numbs with the gulfs that it throws open before our frenzied eyes. He throws his joint in the water. He walks away. We get this beautiful shot of our pink sky. Our praying mantis butterfly flies by.
Yep. So he's still around.
Yep. Color out of space. Fade to black. The end. I am stoned on my couch, standing in my living room, doing a round of applause. I went from not knowing if I saw this movie to knowing that I saw this movie and not knowing if I like this movie to rewatching it for this and still not really knowing if I like this movie and then really dove into it for the time that I got all these notes in and fell in love with this movie. And now this is one of my favorite movies. So
Oh, that's amazing. I love to hear that. I
I'm
love to
glad
hear
it
that.
warped. It definitely warped from because I understood it finally. I understood to pay attention to the water and to the little things and him covering his mouth when it rains and like the alpaca drinking the water. All these quick things that the strands coming out of the water faucet, like all these things that happen that you don't even pay attention to until the rewatchability is awesome.
Yes.
Awesome.
This movie delivers again and again as you watch it. I'm glad you had, because I got nervous. I was like, this is my
I
pick.
want to make you nervous.
And
That's
if this doesn't go right, this is gonna be an hour and a half of Sean yelling at me about how much he hates this
we're gonna
awful
have movies I
movie.
hate. We're gonna have
And
movies I hate, but I love
but
this
you know what
movie.
I was thinking
Go
just
ahead.
now is so who made out though after all this? Like they cleared that family gets cleared and they get that reservoir going
Oh yeah, the mayor.
and it's bigger than ever.
Yeah, it's funny because you see the water and it's flowing with the dam, but like you see this purple pinkish tint
Yeah.
to it for a second.
And Lavinia, do you think Lavinia's alive? And by alive, I mean her soul, her essence, whatever still exists in this
When she was doing the
color.
Necronomicon thing, I do believe the Necronomicon thing was the reason that the mom and brother fused together.
Mhm.
But I also feel when she was like, "Protect me, make sure that I'm okay." I feel like that when she flaked away into dust, that was her like becoming one, and she gets to be with again Krampus style, where she gets to
Yeah.
be with Nick Cage, who got shot, and her mother and her brothers who got warped, and Benny, who lives in the well now.
So would we be okay if they panned out and they were just in a big snow globe with
I don't
purple?
want. I don't want all that. I don't want. I like the ending. I like Ward just being like. Ward was kind of a dork in the beginning, and at the end of this, he's smoking a joint. And he's like, "I'll never drink this
And he's
water."
older when they show him. He's got
Mhm.
gray and some
It's
gray in his
years. Yeah,
beard
a
and
while has passed.
yeah, a little or not. I don't know. I
Who
don't know
knows?
if it affected him. It
Mhm.
aged him. Like we're kind of
Phenomenal movie.
how much time has passed. But
There was, but I wrote down The Ring. All right, there was The Ring because of the well. I got
Mhm.
the Ring vibes. The Thing. How can you not get the Thing vibes from this movie? Evil Dead. The long shots of the house,
Right.
the slow recording, like you mentioned, the Necronomicon. Shining because Nick Cage, the dad, losing his mind on his family. Poltergeist with the flashing in the television. There's so much. There's
The
so much.
fog,
The
the
fog.
mist.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's got a lot of that.
Phenomenal movie. And again,
Absolutely.
not
So does that
afraid.
mean I get to pick? I'll get to pick another one because I
Well,
didn't fail on my first one.
yeah, yeah. So did you get all of your gnarly bits in? Are we
I
wrapping
did.
up the
I would
episode?
have to say because you've asked about vinyl. There is a label that I collect Lovecraft vinyl from and other horror stuff called Cadabra Records. This awesome label, and I am missing the Color Out of Space because it sold out and I didn't get it, and eagerly waiting for a repress. But it's basically somebody reading that story on vinyl with this amazing packaging and stuff like that. So Cadabra Records, if you're in the Lovecraft stuff, we will get into more Lovecraft as we go along. Obviously, the podcast is called In Madness, so we will get there on other things. I did read this story again because it's short twice, and then I listened to the audiobook as well and did watch the movie. I know you always get a kick out of it, but did watch it like I think 3.5 times, 4 times.
I blasted through this 4 times, which is
Yeah.
the most I've watched any movie for any well, I mean, all the other movies we've done, I've seen a million times. Like with this, it was really fresh. I
Mhm.
really enjoyed it. I went in skeptical because I love Nick Cage at times. Sometimes Nick Cage does it for me. Sometimes Nick Cage does not do it for me. But this movie, the way it's done, again, the way that every second matters, the way that every time you watch it, you'll find something new, you'll discover something new. I loved every second of it. Every second
Awesome.
of it.
And this has been great. I hope everyone this is our longest episode.
Maybe I gotta do a little editing. We'll see. But do you remember what we said our next episode was gonna be?
Are you gonna tease it?
I can give a little hint. Do you remember? I don't know if you remember.
Yeah, I
We did
remember.
it a while ago. It's a fairly new movie.
Super new.
It's one of my favorite movies of 2022. And that's all I'll say. That's all I'll
That's
say.
it? That's the usually you tell the like the
I just say the whole thing. It used to be the name of a wrestler. It starts with a B.
there's no
And
Conan in it?
no, there's no Conan in it. There it is.
There it is. We gave it
Uh,
away.
yeah. So that
How can you, reach out to us?
at In Madness Pod on all the socials. That should do it.
Absolutely, and I'm
And if
Vertebrae33. You can catch me on my socials with that and my web store. We will have In Madness merch, I promise. Got some ideas cooking for that, so we will have some In Madness merch soon enough. And I just this was awesome, and I thank everyone who's been listening to us. It's been great, and we appreciate it. And send any suggestions in for movies. We'd love to hear it. Or if you have some theories about Color Out of Space, or you can tell us something we missed, what she carved into her hand, we'd love to know. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, well, this was great. And if you're listening, please don't forget to take a picture, post it, tag us at In Madness Pod, at Shawn the Butcher, at Vertebrae33. This was a phenomenal movie. This was a great episode. Thank you for listening. Vertebrae, thank you for hanging out with me and talking about all these weird ass movies. I'm looking very much forward to episode 666 of In Madness Pod.
Thanks. Take it easy, everybody.